Okay, so this is Ignite number 12. It's blast off. It's awesome. Congratulations for getting here. And we watched the Linda McKissick video, and now I just want you to summarize real quickly what are the ahas you got out of answering those questions. So let's just repeat that so we get it on the camera. Tell me what the first question was. What's your advice on getting into effective production as quickly as possible?
Lead generation.
Do lead generation. What else?
Script practice.
Script practice. Wow. Did somebody actually say that to you?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that phenomenal? You mean it's not just in the book? An agent actually said script practice. Oh,
Yeah.
Fantastic. What else?
Lead follow-up.
Follow up. Wow. Yes, that thing that we forget.
Jessica said, because I asked her, I was like, what's more important, lead generation or script practice? She was like, I would script practice first thing every day, then go out and lead generate. So
Get
that
your-
way you
get
get
your-
confidence and
That's
get
right.
things going.
Get yourself going, right? That's awesome. That's great advice.
I think so
Yes.
Do people ever do script practice like in a coffee shop, just so that other people can hear them talking about real estate? I mean, that seems like a good way to, like, if you're gonna do script practice, why not do it in public with a partner?
Good,
Um,
yes.
I guess why not? People would ask you, what are you guys doing?
We're lead generating.
We're practicing lead generating.
Well, you're still lead generating too, though.
Okay,
I'd be too
well,
embarrassed to do
huh?
that. I'd be too embarrassed.
You'd be too embarrassed to do
I
that.
would, it would feel too awkward for me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
There you go. So, you're welcome to try what works for you. Absolutely. All right. So, next in our chapter we have Make It Happen, and it's it's about focus. Anyone can succeed, but not everyone will. And the question is why? The ones who do succeed have focus, right? The ability to concentrate their thoughts and actions on the most important tasks. This is the bunker concept that you were talking about earlier, right?
Correct.
Bunker yourself in, lock yourself in your room, put a big sign outside that says lead generating, do not disturb, right? Whatever you need to do to stay in there and get it done. So how do you create a personal plan and make process your focus?
Start with the first thing you do in the morning, I think. I think having a daily plan, just like on how you start your morning, will initially start like what you start doing for your career, right? So you start creating habits, like success-driven habits, rather than like wasting time, So especially for us being new agents, we're just starting out, so what we do now is ultimately like could shape
Yes.
what we do in
That's
the future.
brilliant, absolutely. You are setting new habits right now, you're new agents. Start doing the right thing up front, right? Yes, as opposed to forming bad habits.
Yeah.
So, part of what they're trying to get to is if you have a big plan and your big plan is clear and your big plan tells you what it is you're gonna be focusing on, then it drives and defines what it is you're gonna do every day, right? So if you're trying to grow your database to be 500 or 300 or 1,000, whatever your goal is by the end of next year, like in 12 months, how are you gonna do that? And if every day it says add 10 names to my database, right? If you add 10 names for 52 weeks, there's your 500 names, right? So how do you make sure you do that? How do you make sure you get 10 new names into your database a week? And if that's the goal, do you see how that works? Right. So the big goal is to have a database with 500 names every day. For the week, it's put 10 names into my database, right? And obviously the daily 10-4 suggests do even more. The faster you do that, the better, right? Let me just qualify here that the daily 10-4 is set up, if we haven't talked about this before, it's not just a number picked out of the hat. In Keller Williams, we have found people who do 50 contacts a week and 50 add 50 names to their database and grow their database as quickly as possible, cap. That's how you're gonna get to capping. And then hopefully you wanna improve on that, right? But minimum 50 calls a week, 50 contacts, I should call it, not calls. 50 contacts a week is what will take you to capping as a average for all Keller Williams agents. So that's where that number comes from.
I have a question. So
Yeah.
how does capping work? So say you get your commission, does a portion of that go towards your capping, or all
Yeah.
all your commission goes to capping and then you
Nope. Capping is about you pay the company $35,000, and you do that with the portion of the commission that you don't get, right? So the 30% that goes to the
okay.
company goes
towards the capping?
towards the $35,000.
Okay.
And you will have paid the company $35,000 at about $4.5 million in sales.
Okay.
So that's to keep in mind. You will also cap on the royalty fee, the 6% royalty, and that's a $3,000 cap. And to reach that is about $1.8 million in sales. So you should reach that much earlier, right? Which is great. It's like getting a little raise.
So the first cap is 1.8 million in sales?
The royalty cap is approximately it depends, obviously on the commission, right? That you're being offered or that is on your listing. So, yeah, it's about 1.8 million in sales will get you to capping on the royalty fee.
And what happens when we've reached that cap again?
You will not be paying the 6% for the remainder of your year until your next anniversary,
Oh, okay.
right? Capping is always, that's why you wanna get to capping fast so that you can reap the benefits, and it resets every year. So, how do you time block to get your focus? How do you do that?
Google Calendar.
Okay, then what else is it gonna take?
Filling it in.
How do you, dedication to what?
Following your time block.
How do you do that?
You need
Follow
to, you need to write in the activity that you plan to do.
So number one, you need to fill out your calendar, right? And probably schedule it like Sunday night for the rest of the week, or, so you need to set a time and get in the habit, right? This is about habits of whenever that is. Could be Friday night, could be, I don't care. Could be Monday morning at 8 a.m. And now you're fresh and you're just spend the first hour planning your week. Whatever works for you. Most people do it, or a lot of people do it Sunday night. And the second one is the habit you have to get into
Protecting it.
to check your calendar.
Oh, well, I always do that. You can't protect it without checking it.
Well, a lot of people aren't in that habit, right? A lot of people haven't built that muscle. I too cannot say yes to anything because I have to look at my calendar. I don't know if I'm available, right? People who've lived a freer life, or a life that didn't require that, aren't used to that. So you have to develop that habit, right? If you're used to having a blank calendar because you just went to work at 9, do you see what I'm saying? Then it never impacted you other than what you had to do at work. So it's learning to check your calendar. It's learning to honor, that's the next one, honor it. So there's the bunker concept, right? How do I now make sure I do what it says?
And that's also like practicing accountability.
Yes, and here is like everything else where we try to learn a new habit or give up a bad habit. You're gonna have to forgive yourself, right? You're not going to step into the week next week and be perfect at this, right? We're going to fall, we're going to falter. That's okay. If you notice that whoops, I didn't do this today, our concept is, if you're gonna erase it or if you didn't do it, replace it. Put it somewhere else. And you go, okay, I better make this up tomorrow morning. I better start first thing, and I better work all the way till noon tomorrow to make up for the hour that I lost today, or whatever it is. Do you see where I'm going?
Mm-hmm.
So those habits, right? It's little habits that we have to get into in order to learn how to focus ourselves. It's also important for the people around you to understand what you're doing and not interrupt you or allow others to interrupt you. right? Keep coming back to this bunker. The reward from daily and focused time block lead generation is huge. So how will you do this for yourselves? And how will you determine whether it's working or not? And when will you determine if it's working or not? How long will you try doing this out of your home and then find it doesn't work? So then will you come in here and sit here to check the schedule? When is the room not being used? When can you use it, right? Or go sit in the other office and make calls. Well, who cares who's around? Next question, how do you use accountability to keep your focus?
Well, I heard from the guest speaker to have your accountability partner set up an agreement for a consequence so that if you don't follow through with the behavior, there is a consequence, such as you write Gary Keller a note saying you're resigning from the A team or whatever, I don't know. But something that would be like a fate worse than death. So you're highly motivated because someone's gonna take that letter you just signed with the stamp and it's already addressed and they're gonna mail it to
That's one way, absolutely.
somebody that's
Yeah.
giving out a consequence.
Do all of you have a coach?
Yes.
Can you use your coach this way?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is this what your coach is there for?
Yeah.
Right? Is to help you with accountability. That's what a coach does, right? So take it seriously, right? And use your coach that way. So I just had a coaching session the other day, and I'm not going to see this agent again until January. And she got kids at home starting Friday, right? So it was like, ee. So I said, okay, you want to make 50 contacts this week to at least get yourself well into December. So she agreed to do that by the end of the week, and she agreed to text me Friday afternoon and confirm to me that she honored her. We scheduled her on her calendar when she would have time to do it, and she had to heavy it up because she doesn't have afternoons. So, she's got a part-time job, right?
Mhm.
So we set it up as a way to communicate through texting, like confirm with me. Now, is she gonna lie? If she lies, she's only lying to herself. It doesn't make any difference to me, right? So why would you lie? You're gonna say, well, I made 20 calls, not 50. Okay, what can you do to make up those other 30 calls? Is there any time that your husband can take care of the kids while you're over the next 2 weeks that you could take time to work? Do you see where I'm going?
Mhm.
So for sure, look at your coach as a way to help you, even though that might not feel comfortable. The whole point is, yes, we gotta get over that, right? And be willing to be accountable.
Yeah, I saw a note in Adam's room and it said, feel the fear and do it anyways.
Feel the fear and do it anyways.
I was
Yeah,
like,
that
"Oh,
has
I
to
like
do
that.
that has to do with making the calls,
Right.
and that has to do with facing your, coach and saying, okay, I spent 4 hours, but I only talked to, X people, and my goal was this. And we're just gonna move along and say, okay, what can we do to improve that? Or, it's awesome that you did it. Not to deny your accomplishment, but we wanna get better, right? Yeah. So, focusing on and maintaining a high level of focus over time, right? Using the 411 to bring accountability into my business life. There's another one. Your 411 says, I wanna talk to 200 people a month, right? So there's a higher level goal. So now you're weekly, and after 3 weeks of not talking to 50 a week to see where it goes, all of a sudden in the last week, you gotta talk to 100 people. Now you gotta do a bold 100. Does everybody know what a bold 100 is? Is you talk to 100 people in one day.
Wow.
One day, yeah. And it takes you all day, but you can do it. People do it. They just sit down, they just make it a goal, and they do it.
How long are those conversations?
Not
As long
very
as you
long, because
know.
you have a script. You're gonna
Okay.
use your script, and you're probably gonna say, I'm in a class, and I have to, we're being asked to call people, but I wanted to introduce myself, or I wanted to tell you about this. You come from contribution, so that you're giving them something, but you can totally make it a fast call. And you can come up with your own script for that. I had a broker who, she's got about 1,000 names on her database. She's a very successful local longtime agent. And she will do this. She will call people up and she says, I was just going through my phone and I saw your name and I had to call. I have to leave in 5 minutes, so I don't have a long time to talk, but I wanted to check in. How are you?
I really like that.
Okay, now she's just set it up that she only has 5 minutes, right? And it's relationships. She doesn't even need to say, I'm a realtor. She's been a realtor for so long, right?
Right.
She just needs to be top of mind and for people to feel like, oh, she remembered me. Oh, I got a call from Awana today, right? And she's also out there. She participates on boards and in activities so that people see her name in places. And over time, that's what you'll do, right? So how do you make sure your environment supports your focus? What are each of you gonna do to make sure your environment supports your focus? Yes, ma'am.
Get a do not disturb sign and hang it on your door.
Okay, good one.
You can like write affirmations and stuff and decorate the spot you're in to keep it in like a positive mind frame and like build yourself up.
Everybody have a vision board?
Yeah.
Right? If you have a vision board, if you've got your big why, and your big why is clear, make a picture of it. And if your big why isn't a picture, then what is it? How can you represent it graphically to be in front of you? It's powerful. You look up and I'll go, oh, right, that's why I'm doing this. Why am I doing this? Oh, right, yes. Yes, ma'am.
Have a mirror and make sure you're smiling because your
Yeah,
voice will sound way more cheery.
Yeah. That's what they do in Keller Williams offices that have the phone booth, right? They have mirrors. Also, surrounding yourself with people who energize you. Like, how bad would it be to be making phone calls outside of the Miller's office? Do you think Todd Hudson would mind if you were sitting there making phone calls? Do you think Randy Antonio would mind if you were sitting there making phone calls? I don't think so. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? That office is actually a cool place to sit and make phone calls.
And it's full of people that are like success
That are
driven too.
totally driven. They would be just nothing but excited to support you. If they heard you making phone calls, they'd be like, you rock, you go, right?
Yeah.
And then you can say, if you ever hear me say anything that I could improve on, let me know, or not. They're not gonna make you feel bad in any way. They're just gonna support you. So, what a cool environment. That's not necessarily the same in Kahului, right? So take advantage of it here. This office has a wonderful vibe. Kahului does too. Bruce Baker is there every day lead generating, except he stays in his little office and he's over on the side over there. But can you work in there? You bet. People sit at those big tables and make calls. Yep. And how do you keep your energy to maintain your focus? Maintaining long-term focus depends on me staying energized and enthusiastic. Everything I do either adds energy or depletes it, right? If you look at it that way, you go, wow, I need to add energy, so staying positive. We talked about in Linda McKissick's video, right? Her spiritual, her physical, emotional, making sure she's connected with her family and has plans. She plans out what she's going to do with her family and make sure she's available for that. That's her big why, right? She's got that really clear. Her mental state, she knows she's better in the beginning of the week and then early in the day. And she knows she has to lead generate, that that's her focus. So, does everybody, have we gone over a 411 before? Does that sound familiar?
I think so, yeah, I think we've done it.
Okay, I believe there is a blank one, just 2 pages further on. So on page 18 is a 411 so that you can see how it lays out. Now you've heard us talk about a GPS, right? A GPS or a 135 says, what's my overall goal? My overall goal is to earn $100,000 this year. And then you can go to the Career Growth Initiative calculator and calculate how much in sales do I need to do in order for me to earn $100,000. And if you don't know how to do that, you need to ask your coach. I wanna do that calculation. How do I do that? Does anybody not know what I'm talking about? The Career Growth Initiative calculator? Everybody know? So when you do that, you will find out that $100,000 is about $170,000 in sales. Okay, $170,000 in sales. The average commission here, let's make it $17,000 just to make it easy, is how many closings? 10. Okay, how are you gonna get 10 closings? That means a closing a month. And then you go, okay, I'm ramping it up. So how about I do a closing every other month? I give myself a couple of months first to get started, right? And then I'm gonna have to have multiple closings by the end of the year. See that? In order to get multiple closings by the end of the year, what do you have to be doing? Every day. Lead generating, right. And here's the biggest danger, right, is your focus is gonna go over here the moment you get your first escrow. You're gonna be so excited. You're gonna go down this rabbit hole here and get all worried about doing everything right and perfect over here that you forget to lead generate. And we are here as your coaches to remind you, please don't forget to lead generate. Please don't forget. Just do it from 9 to 11 and then worry about your escrow. Your escrow will be okay, right? And if you do need to do something in the morning for your escrow, well then move your lead generating to the afternoon. But don't stop it. Yeah. So, the 411 sets us up with our goal. Here's our one goal for the year. And then what is my monthly goal? Right? So for this month, my goal is I don't expect a closing in January. That's a little, I don't have an escrow right now. How am I gonna have a closing in January, right? But I'm going to put every week, make 50 contacts, or if you wanna build up whatever it is you're doing, whatever it is you're capable of, what can you do to generate the maximum number of contacts you can do in a week? It depends so much on what you've got, what resources you have available to you. Do you have a database already? Do you know a lot of people here? Do you not know a lot of people here? Then you need to go do open houses, right? We all know high season starts on Monday or Saturday, right? This is it. So you wanna get out there as much as possible. I don't care if you go sit in a coffee shop and put a realtor sticker on the back of your computer and say, real estate information here, and sit in the coffee shop. Do you think you'll have conversations?
Yep.
Yep, you will. Do you see where I'm going?
Mm-hmm.
Just get creative and talk to people while they're here in town. That's
Or you should do that on Front Street.
yeah, wherever, you know, you can, wherever you can,
Pick the best coffee shop.
pick the best coffee shop. Yes, there
I
are.
live on Front Street. I know, like Corey, like that'd be great. Like, oh my God,
Mm.
you live on Front Street, right? Like, you're like the expert on Front Street. There's so many tourists on Front Street.
Correct, yeah.
So then you also wanna maybe in the week 4, always build in a little planning time.
Yeah.
Now, what did I accomplish in January? How did I do? And what do I wanna do in February? Now, remember that 411 tool? I believe I showed you that, right? Does that ring a bell at all? There's a 411 tool in Keller Williams that you can put it electronically, you don't have to do it in paper, and it'll forward all the things that you didn't check off. So when you go from January to February, you can just go, move it to February, and the things that you didn't accomplish will show up again, which is kind of cool,
That is cool.
right? Yeah. So it's a handy tool, it's its own link, you can save it on your desktop, and access your own 411 and then build it forward. But the idea is if you don't build in a planning review a day or a couple hours for yourself at the end of every month, you're gonna find yourself in March and you go, what was that about? Where am I at? What are my priorities?
So have you seen, sorry, going back to that whole thing about just sitting in a coffee shop or wherever there's busy traction, have you seen people do that, like put up a sign, realtor at work, asking?
You can't
what
put up a
it's like-
sign, but a sticker on the back of your computer.
That says realtor at work, ask me about
Yes.
What about a piece of paper just real big, right next to your computer?
You could, something, you could have a notebook and the cover of the notebook says,
That's a good idea,
real
too.
estate.
Get
It's,
creative.
there are agents who have built businesses that way.
Yeah,
I am not making this one up. This isn't my creativity talking. This is other people's success. Now, does it take you doing it every day?
yeah,
Yes, every day. It just has to be part of what you do, right? And you have to gauge. Here's where tracking becomes important. How valuable was that? How many people did I actually talk to? And how many names did I actually get,
right.
right? And if I'm not getting names, how can I get better at getting names and
'Cause I can-
contact information?
I can see that being like, Corey, if you're not gonna do it, this is what I'm gonna do. I can see it being that really successful down on Front Street, right where they have all the boats.
Okay,
Right?
yeah, whatever.
There's so
Yeah.
many people there.
Yes,
Go for it.
Yeah. go for it. So that's the idea. If that's part of your game plan, that's what you need to do for a while. But you need to have a measure
Yeah,
of success.
right.
If your goal is to make 50 contacts a week and you've sat there for 5 days and met 6 people
Then you need to find
and
out
you
what
spent
you
10
should-
hours doing that,
Yeah,
maybe
Different
not
strategy.
such a good idea.
yeah,
Or maybe not 10 hours worth. Or maybe you find out when the busy time is and do it at a different time.
right.
Maybe you work on your scripts, right? What are you saying to people? What are you offering people when they sit down?
Right.
I have a great app. You're here to visit. You want to check out prices on Maui? Here, let me send you my mobile app. What's
Yeah.
your phone number? What's your name? What's your email address? I prefer email, okay? So your 411 should reflect what it is you're doing at the end of the month. You go, okay, I'm not doing that one now, or I'm changing. Any questions on that? The 411 tool, by the way, is in mykw.com. I believe it's under technology. It's called 411 tool. So check it out.
So if we wanted to get a custom sticker that said realtor at work, ask me about Maui, do we have to pay a branding or whatever fee to?
If you do anything that's got our logo on it and is about real estate related, the principal broker must approve it. Any kind of promotion, any kind of a flyer, an ad, a sticker.
I'm just saying the word realtor parentheses are.
I'm
like
asking
trademark.
you to have it approved
Okay.
by Michelle.
Okay,
And yes, the word realtor needs a registry mark
yeah,
and needs to be in all caps,
okay,
right?
yeah,
And if you do that, have your business cards handy because technically you can't advertise without the company name and contact information.
okay.
That's a little hard. I mean, it's a sticker on your own personal computer. It's a funny place, whether that's
It's not something I wanna do.
an ad, right? However you do it. If you do it in the cover of your notebook and you've got the notebook sitting there with you,
Right,
however you do it, yeah.
You can put your business card on the back of your computer and then you're covered, right?
Yeah, it's a little
True.
small, but yes, then you'd be covered.
Also, I've
I
heard
see what you're saying. Yes, you'd be covered.
people talking about just carrying around the millionaire real estate agent book
Yeah.
and just having that little red book with you.
There you go.
It's like just
That's a good one.
insights, yeah.
Yeah.
You can stick it on the back of your cell phone. Right?
Stick it on the back of your cell phone, you bet. You could walk around with a millionaire real estate investor
Mhm.
and
That's an even better
and
idea.
have that,
Yeah.
and have that
Just have
sitting
those
out,
on you all
right?
the time.
You get where we're going and look
Yeah.
what fun it is
Yeah.
to just kind of brainstorm and come up with things. All right, so next we're gonna talk about, we've done that, revisit your goals. Were we supposed to do that here in exercise? Yes. You now get some time to fill in that 411 for yourself and identify your goals. And you might as well. You're graduating today. What are you doing for the rest of the month? So, huh?
Regenerate.
Right there. No, fill this in. Fill that in. Yep, fill that in. What's your goal for next year? And what's your goal for the month?
Somebody told me it's gonna be harder to see properties with the upcoming season, cause they're all gonna be like rented.
Well,
Is that pretty accurate?
they're not all. Where are you selling, on the west side or? Yeah, west side is so predominantly vacation rental, and that is a challenge. So you just call the listing agent and you find out when there's a puka of time. You know, people are out at 11 and the next group comes in at 4. Maybe you could do a showing at 3. So, but that's why things are on market for so long, is because there's no showing times available. So that is a challenge.
Okay.
And you know, people can always get into escrow. And when they're in escrow, the seller is now obligated to make the property available for an inspection.
Okay.
So if somebody thinks that this is it, just based on the pictures, and they love the building, and they like the location in the building of the unit, might be worth putting an offer in, right? Saying, hey, let's get at this unit and see if we can get an inspection in there. And they're gonna have to pay the guests to vacate for 3 or 4 hours.
Okay.
Have to get creative, hopefully. We're on page 18 and filling that out.
Turn the arrow.
Hmm?
Can we turn the arrow?
I did.
No.
It's
Oh, wow.
totally warm. It's on cool, on auto. I thought I put the. See if that'll take. Okay. I thought I reduced the temperature already, but I didn't. See if that makes a difference.
Nice.
Hey there.
How are you?
Good,
Not
how are
bad
you?
and festive today.
Thank
Nice
you.
to see you.
Really nice to see you. Okay. Just want to remind you that your 411 isn't a to-do list. What's the difference between a to-do list and what your 411 does for you?
For what I understand the 401 it does like the big grand picture, right? It holds you accountable to your end results, whereas a checklist is the steps you take to get to those results.
Or all the little piddly stuff you gotta do
Yeah.
in your day anyway, right? Like go to the drugstore or whatever you did,
Yeah.
stuff you have to do, yeah. So your 411 is, here's how I like to think of it and how I've used it. I put it on, and I love having a bulletin board in front of my desk, right? When I can put things up there that I wanna focus on. So if my 411 is right up there, and I sit down and I go like, what am I supposed to do today? Like, where am I at, right? Let's say I didn't update my calendar and my calendar isn't clear. What am I supposed to be focusing on? And my 411 says it right there. It tells me the 3 things I'm supposed to be doing this week or that I'm supposed to get accomplished this week, right? So if it says on my 411, get a listing appointment, and next week it says, have a listing appointment, right? I go like, okay, how am I getting a listing appointment? If that's my goal, how am I gonna go about that? See where I'm going? So it's a whole different thing versus do this, do that, do this, do that. Keep in mind that for the next 2 or 3 weeks, part of what you wanna add to your goal of accomplishments that you wanna have is to make sure your listing presentation and your buyer's presentations are ready to go. You do not wanna be inventing a listing presentation or a buyer presentation when you have to go meet a client tomorrow. That'll just feel really uncomfortable. So be sure to add those, right, into the beginning of yours, that you are prepared with your documentation and your materials so that you can get going. And if part of your 3 GPS, your 3 priorities is social media, if you're one of those social media people, your 411 would say, spend 5 hours on social media, right? Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
That because if that's how you are in part staying in touch with people, you wanna make sure that you've got that on your calendar. So I like to advise people, social media you might wanna consider doing later in the day because we get sucked in, right? You don't wanna get sucked in the morning. And it's really quite a pleasant and easy thing to do because it's partially about just participating. Social media is just about showing up and letting people see your name and letting people, oh, she posted, oh, she's active, oh, look what he's doing, oh, he had made a comment, right? I'm engaging with you. That's what social media is about. Oh my God, he's doing an open house, look at this. Right? Now I'm paying attention to you because you've been paying attention to me. You're gonna come up on my feed, make sense? You gotta do it. It's gotta be part of your business plan if that's what you're doing. So look at it that way, right? Yeah. Okay, leveraging the MREA. We're not there yet. We're on page 19. So It does say slide 34, that one, page 20.
19 says leverage MRE models.
Exactly, but I don't have a slide that says that, right? No. Okay. So, the MREA models is just to remind ourselves that there are, what are our models? And it's really cool to just go over these points. So if you look at what's the economic model to start with, know your numbers that you must hit, right? Understand if I need 10 closings, how many appointments do I need? How many contracts do I need to get 10 closings, right? If I need 10 closings and 5 of those are from listings, I need to have a listing appointment probably every other week in order to get enough listings to get me to, and that's what your career growth initiative calculator is gonna tell you. How many listing appointments do you need, right? It whittles it down to that. So, knowing our numbers. Focus on your appointments and focus on conversions. How good are you at converting people, right? That's what that's about. So this fellow who just gave you a lead, oh my God, his intention was so awesome. Send him a handwritten note. Make him feel really good for having done that, regardless of the fact that it didn't work out. That's not the point. The point is he did that and you want him to do it again. What can you do to encourage that, right? You want to build that relationship and really thank him for helping you out. It's an awesome opportunity to stay in touch with them, right?
Yeah.
So do you see how that is like every time somebody offers you something like that, handwritten note, handwritten note, handwritten note, to make people feel really special, like, wow, you really appreciated that. That's really nice, you know, to get a handwritten card in the mail, right? And if you don't have his address, what can you do to make him feel special and let him know that you're really grateful? Yeah. And then we have lead generation, and those 3 points are prospect and market. Remember, lead generation is a combination. It's a combination of contacting people, but also being present on social media and having your 33 touch going and having communications go out that remind people in between the times that you call them that you're doing real estate. Set up a database and systematically market to it and focus on seller listings taken. For sure, if you can get a listing in this market, that is like primo, because now you can do open houses, you can do advertising, you can talk about your listing, you can hopefully attract a buyer, right? Yeah. Then there's our budget model, and the budget model says lead with revenue, right? Toughest thing to do is to like decide to now go buy Zillow ads or something and spend a lot of money for Zillow leads, and you don't have that money yet. So lead with revenue. Play red light, green light. Red light, green light means I'm making money, I can spend money. I'm not making money, I can't spend any money. Is it a red light or is it a green light, right? So pretty simple. When you start thinking about, oh, like I had somebody come to me recently, is I have a chance to buy the shopping cart ad at the Safeway. I really want to do that. I go, really? How many sales have you had? Right? There's lots of shiny things out there